Okay, one of the reasons you need to know how to factor is because we need it to solve equations. Again, what is solving? Solving means we're going to come up with an answer. We're going to come up with x equals something. Okay, that's what solving is all about. All right. So solving, in the past, we've solved linear equations. Okay, for example, this might have been a linear equation, 2x plus 3 equals 0. How would you solve that? Well, you would figure out what x is. Okay. This year we're going to talk about solving a quadratic equation. What makes a quadratic equation? There has to be an x squared in the term. If there's an x squared in the equation, then we have what we call a quadratic. Okay, here are some examples. You can see in each case there is an x squared. All right, and these you can't just solve by isolating x. All right, one of the strategies we're going to use is to solve by factoring. And we're going to use the zero product property. That's something new. What is a zero product property? Well, if you multiply two numbers together, if you want them to equal 0, one of them has to be 0. Okay, so just take a look at that. How do we get a times b to be equal to 0? Well, either a has to be 0 or b has to be 0. Okay, so how do we use that? Well, we're supposed to come up with x equals something. Well, you can see here this would be hard to isolate the x because there's an x squared and there's also an x. So we're going to use the method factoring. Okay, we can factor this trinomial to x plus 8 and x minus 7. And so what this is saying is if I multiply this by this, I get 0. That means either x plus 8 has to be equal to 0 or x minus 7 has to be equal to 0. Okay, so x is negative 8 and x is 7. And what I would like you to do is list them like this. These are the two answers that work. Now, just so you understand, let's do a quick check. If I put in the negative 8 in for x into the original question, let's see what happens. So I get 64 minus 8 minus 56 equals 0. And 64 minus 64 does equal 0. So you can see that it works. Okay, and you can check the other one, you'll also see that it works. Okay, so there's the idea. We're going to take a trinomial, we'll factor it. That's one method to solve for x. Okay, let's try this one. Can I do the same thing here? Can I just say 3x plus 1 equals 22 and x minus 6 equals 22? No, you cannot. Alright, this only works if this is 0. That's what the zero product rule is. To get to 22, there are many, many ways to get to 22. I can't just say that either the first factor or the second factor is 22. Okay, maybe the first factor would be 2 and the second 11, but again, that's not how we solve these. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to try to get everything equal to 0 to rearrange this equation. Okay, so I'm going to FOIL here. 3x squared minus 18x plus x minus 6 equals 22. And then if I bring everything to one side, I get this. Now I have a 0 there and I can use the zero property. Okay, so this is 3x and x. What multiplies to 28 that's going to help me get to 17? Okay, well, let's take a guess. We could try 7 and 4. That means we would get 12x here and 7x here. Do those combine to 17? No, they don't work. Okay, so that's not going to be a good plan. Let's try something else. Let's switch those around. Let's try 7 here and 4 here. And we want it to be negative, so the bigger number should be negative and the smaller positive. Okay? Does that work? If you check it, yes it does. So that means 3x plus 4 equal to 0 and x minus 7 equals to 0. So solving for x here, 3x is negative 4, x is negative 4/3, and here x is 7. So I'm going to list my two answers. Those two values, if I put them in for x in the original equation, will get me the right answer. Okay, let's try a few more. Again, we need to have 0 over here. So I'm going to move that 30x over. And we get this. And now we want to factor. Now, those numbers look kind of big. And guess what? There is a common factor. Now here's a beautiful thing. When you have an equation, when you have this equals thing, I can do something to one side and do it to the other side. So here I don't actually need to factor out the 3. Instead, I'm going to divide both sides by 3. If I do that, I get x squared plus 10x plus 25 equals, and what is 0 divided by 3? It's still 0. Now that's beautiful. That's much easier. Okay, and I can factor this pretty easily. X plus 5, x plus 5. So x is negative 5. Now I don't need to write that twice. All right, let's try to do this one. So we'll bring everything to one side so that we have 0, and now we want to factor it. This is not a trinomial though. Okay, but you can see there is a common factor of 5x. Okay, so now the first factor, 5x equals 0, and the second one, x plus 4 equals 0. So x is 0, and x is negative 4. Okay, a couple of little notes here. Make sure that you are always keeping this as an equation. If you forget like zeros like that, you are taking an equation and making it an expression. Okay, you have to keep it as an equation. All right, now we'll throw a radical in there. So how do we do this? We want to isolate the x, but we also want to square the radical. So if you can, let's try to isolate the radical. Okay, so I'm going to put a little star here. Try to isolate, if there's just one radical, isolate it. That's a common strategy. So we're going to have 6 minus x equals x minus 4. Now we're going to square both sides. Okay, well, I'm going to write it down because there's a mistake here that too many people make. So if I square this, I get 6 minus x. And if I square this, I get x squared plus 16. Wrong. Oldest trick here. This means x minus 4 times x minus 4. So we have x squared minus 8x plus 16. Bring everything to one side. And we can factor it. And maybe you don't like writing out this step. What would make in here, what would make this equal to 0? Well, you should be able to just see that it would be 5, and then the second one, 2. Okay, now this one is a little bit different because we need to check. Remember, when we have a radical in the equation, we need to check to make sure there are no extraneous roots. So let's go 6 minus 5 plus 4 equals 5. So this is the root of 1 plus 4 equals 5. 5 equals 5. So 5 is good. Let's check 2. The root of 6 minus 2 plus 4, does that equal 2? Does the root of 4 plus 4 equal 2? 2 plus 4, does not equal 2, which means we need to reject that second answer. Now, just so you know, if you were to just do this, if you were just to write the answer is 5, you would not get full marks. You would lose a full mark. You need to show that there are 2 answers and that you're rejecting one of them. Okay? That's important. All right, we'll finish off this lesson with a word problem. So quickly translate this into math. The sum of a number, okay, what is the number? And the square of a number. A number and the square of a number is 20. Okay, and now we just put an x there, so let's say what x is. X is the number. Okay, and if we solve this, we get x squared plus x. We'll bring the 20 to this side, and now you can factor it. Probably see why factoring is pretty important. You're going to be doing a lot of it. Okay, and so what is the number? The number is -5 or 4. Those are both possible numbers that work. Okay, I think we'll stop there. Here is some homework. Make sure you keep up.